You're standing at the grocery store checkout with a full cart, your hungry kids waiting in the car, but when you tap your phone, the screen flashes a cold digital red. Transaction denied, carbon limit reached. You have the money, but the software has decided you've bought too much meat this week, and suddenly your savings are nothing more than useless pixels. This isn't a glitch. It's the kill switch built into the new global financial grid. We've been told that a cashless society is about convenience, but the chilling truth is that it's the ultimate trap for 2026. Today, we expose how the death of physical money is being used to build a digital cage where your survival depends on your obedience. The programmable currency is here, the social credit algorithm is live, and the siege predicted thousands of years ago is officially at your front door. Have you ever noticed how fast things change when they're wrapped in a shiny bow of convenience? It's actually quite brilliant when you stop to think about how easily we trade our deepest freedoms for a little bit of comfort. Just a few years ago, having a heavy wallet full of crisp banknotes was the ultimate sign of security and personal independence. But lately, it feels like we're being subtly pushed away from that physical reality towards something much more invisible and controlled. It starts with a simple tap of your phone at the grocery store or a quick digital transfer to a friend. We tell ourselves it's just saving time, but we're actually stepping right into a massive, carefully designed trap. Think about the last time you went out and realized you didn't have a single cent of physical cash on you. It's a bit of a weird feeling, isn't it? Like you're totally dependent on a series of blinking lights and invisible signals just to buy a simple bottle of water. We've become so used to the magic of digital payments that we've forgotten what it feels like to hold actual value in our hands. This isn't just a random trend, it's a highly calculated move to make sure every single transaction you make is recorded. The goal is to make physical money feel old, dirty, and even suspicious so that you'll gladly walk away from it. By making life easier for us, they're actually making it much harder to stay truly off the grid. It's a lot like that old story of the Trojan horse, a beautiful gift that ended up being the total downfall of an entire city. We're being offered this incredible digital gift that promises to end fraud, stop crime, and make our lives flawlessly efficient. But inside that gift is a massive system of surveillance that never sleeps and never looks away from your bank account. Every time you choose the convenience of a digital app over a physical bill, you're handing over a piece of your privacy. It's a slow, quiet process of conditioning that prepares us for a world where cash is completely and utterly extinct. Most people are cheering for this change, not realizing that the easy path usually leads right into a dead end. I remember talking to an old shopkeeper who told me he felt like a ghost whenever he tried to use his old coin jar. He said it felt like the world was slowly deleting his way of life right before his very eyes. It's a heartbreaking experience to realize that the things we've trusted for generations are being turned into historical relics. This push for a cashless society is the essential foundation for everything else the global architects are planning for 2026. They need to make sure you have absolutely no way to survive outside of their digital network before they reveal the next phase. If you can't buy a loaf of bread without their permission, you're already a prisoner without even realizing it. We've been led to believe that the end of cash is just a natural evolution of technology, like moving from horses to cars. But cars actually gave us more freedom to travel, while this digital shift is actually narrowing our world into a tiny, monitored box. It's a clever bit of psychological warfare that uses our own laziness and desire for speed against our long-term survival. They're banking on the fact that you'll choose the one-click checkout over the hassle of visiting a physical bank branch every single time. And honestly, it's working perfectly because we've been trained to value speed over safety for a very long time now. We are being funneled into a bottleneck where the only way forward is through a single digital gateway. The most terrifying part of this whole transition is how silent and invisible the final click of the lock will actually be. Once the last physical banknote is pulled out of circulation, the power dynamic of the entire world shifts instantly and permanently. You won't even notice the bars of the cage because they'll be made of glowing pixels and highly advanced lines of code. Your money will no longer be a physical object you own, but a digital entry in a database that you only have access to. This access can be granted or revoked in a heartbeat based on factors you might not even be able to see yet. And that brings us to the chilling reality of what happens when your money starts thinking for itself. Imagine for a second that your bank account suddenly had a mind of its own and started making choices for you. It sounds like something out of a wild sci-fi flick, but this is the heart of what they call programmable money. In the old days, a $100 bill didn't care if you bought a steak, a Bible, or saved it for a rainy day. It was just paper, neutral and silent, waiting for your command without asking a single judgmental question. But the new digital currencies being cooked up for 2026 are designed to be smart, which is just a fancy way of saying they are controlled. Your money is being transformed from a passive tool into an active participant in your life that follows a very specific set of rules. Think about a simple gift card you get for a coffee shop. You can only spend it there, and it might even expire if you wait too long. Now take that exact same restrictive concept and apply it to every single dollar you earn from your hard work. Governments are openly discussing central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, that can be programmed with specific conditions and limits. They could decide that your money only works for approved items, or that it can only be spent within a certain geographic radius of your home. It's a level of micromanagement that would make even the strictest parent blush, yet it's being pitched as a way to save the economy. They want to turn your financial life into a series of if-then statements that they get to write. I once knew someone who had their bank account frozen during a simple clerical error, and they described the feeling as being totally erased. For 3 days, they couldn't even buy a gallon of milk or put gas in their car because their digital permission was gone. In a world of programmable money, that error could become a deliberate feature used to nudge your behavior in the right direction. If the elites decide that people are saving too much and not spending enough, they can simply program your balance to shrink. It's like a digital use it or lose it policy that forces you to consume exactly when and where they tell you to. Your hard-earned savings become a ticking time bomb that you're forced to defuse by spending on their schedule. This is where the concept of spending limits takes on a whole new, much darker meaning for the average family. They could program your money to stop working at the grocery store once you've bought what they consider too much unhealthy food. Or perhaps your digital wallet refuses to pay for gasoline because you've already used up your government-mandated travel allowance for the month. It's a flawless system of rationing that doesn't require any physical stamps or long lines at a government office. It's all handled silently behind the scenes by a highly advanced algorithm that knows exactly what you're doing. You might think you're in control of your budget, but the brain inside your money is the one actually calling the shots. It's honestly a bit funny, in a dark way, how we were told technology would give us more options and freedom. Instead, we're moving toward a system that actually narrows our choices down to a tiny, pre-approved list of actions. You'll be standing at a checkout counter, feeling perfectly normal, until the machine tells you that your money isn't authorized for that specific purchase. No matter how much you argue with the clerk, the software has the final word, and the software doesn't have a heart. This isn't just about managing the economy, it's about managing you and every single choice you make from sunrise to sunset. They are building a digital fence around your life, and the fence is made of your own bank statements. Once your money is fully programmable, the government no longer needs to pass complicated laws to get people to behave. They can simply update a few lines of code in the central database, and suddenly an entire nation's behavior is altered instantly. It's a form of absolute power that ancient kings could only dream about during their most ambitious and hungry nights. You won't be fighting against a soldier in the street. You'll be fighting against a digital wall that won't let you buy a loaf of bread. This level of total control over your wallet is the perfect setup for the next layer of the trap. Because once they can program your money, they can start using it to grade your entire life as a human being. Imagine you're a great driver, always on time, never getting so much as a parking ticket in your life. One day, you try to book a simple hotel room for a weekend getaway, but the website keeps giving you a mysterious error. You haven't done anything illegal, but maybe last week you shared an article online that the local authorities didn't quite like. In a world of digital money, your social score becomes the invisible hand that either opens doors or locks them tight. We're moving toward a reality where your bank account isn't just a pile of credits, but a report card on your behavior. It's a silent, creeping system of obedience that doesn't need a single police officer to make you fall perfectly in line. We've all seen those star ratings for drivers or delivery folks, and we usually think they're pretty helpful for keeping things professional. But now, take that exact same rating system and apply it to your entire existence as a citizen and a human. Every post you like, every person you associate with, and every opinion you whisper could be feeding a massive, hungry algorithm. If your score drops too low, the programmable money we talked about simply stops working for luxury items like travel or entertainment. It's a way to punish you without ever having to step inside a courtroom or talk to a real judge. They don't have to put you in a physical jail if they can just turn your entire world into a digital one. I remember reading about a man in a pilot program who couldn't buy a train ticket because his trustworthiness had been downgraded. He hadn't committed a crime, he just hadn't paid a small bill on time and had been seen with the wrong crowd. The machine didn't care about his excuses or the fact that he was a good father and a hard worker. To the algorithm, he was just a series of red flags that needed to be restricted for the good of society. This is the ultimate nudge, a psychological trick designed to make you police yourself every second of the day. You'll start thinking twice before saying what you really feel, because you know the scorekeeper is always watching and always counting. It's actually quite a clever way to build a society of perfectly behaved people who never step out of their assigned lanes. You won't see any scary propaganda posters on the walls or soldiers on every street corner, like in those old movies. Instead, the pressure will come from your own desire to keep your digital life running smoothly and without any annoying interruptions. You'll find yourself agreeing with things you don't believe in, just so your kids can stay in a good school, or you can keep your job. It's a form of soft, invisible tyranny that uses your own bank account as a weapon against your personal conscience. The cage is made of your own fear of being deplatformed from the modern world and left in the cold. This system relies on the fact that we all desperately want to belong and be accepted by the people around us. By gamifying your social behavior, they turn your neighbors and even your friends into accidental spies for the central system. If someone has a low score, being seen with them might actually lower your own score, forcing you to distance yourself from them. It's a brilliant, dark way to break apart families and communities without ever firing a single shot or making a public arrest. You'll be surrounded by people, but you'll feel more isolated than ever, terrified of making one single wrong move. They are building a world where the only way to survive is to be a perfectly hollow, obedient reflection of their official narrative. The truly chilling part is how normal and even virtuous this will all seem to the people who are already under the spell. They'll tell you it's about safety, community harmony, and making sure everyone does their fair share for the greater good of all. You'll be called selfish or even dangerous if you try to hold on to your old ideas of privacy and individual freedom. This social credit layer is the final psychological lock on the digital cage they are building for 2026. It ensures that even if you have the money, you'll be too afraid to spend it on anything that might draw the wrong kind of attention. And this leads us to the total evaporation of the one thing that used to belong only to you. Do you remember that cozy feeling of tucked-away privacy when you'd pay for a coffee with a crumpled bill and just vanish into the crowd? There was something deeply human about being a mystery, a person whose every move wasn't a data point on a server somewhere. But in the world of central bank digital currencies, that ancient curtain of privacy is being ripped down for good. Every cent you earn, every gift you give, and every tiny habit you have is about to be displayed in a glowing digital window. We are moving into a global financial glasshouse where the state doesn't just see your balance, but the very rhythm of your soul. Your life is becoming an open book that you never gave anyone the permission to read. Think about how much someone could learn about you just by looking at your transaction history for a single month. They'd know where you eat, what medicine you take, who you spend your time with, and even what you're worried about. With CBDCs, this isn't just a possibility, it is a mandatory real-time feature of the entire monetary system. There is no incognito mode for your wallet once the physical cash is gone, and every transaction is recorded on a central ledger. They'll know you're pregnant before you tell your family, or that you're planning to quit your job before you even write the letter. Privacy is being rebranded as a luxury for criminals, while honest people are expected to live in total, naked transparency. I once spoke with a man who felt like he was being followed because he started getting ads for things he'd only mentioned in a private conversation. Now imagine that same level of intrusive tracking, but it's tied directly to your ability to survive and provide for your children. If you buy a book that questions the global narrative, it's flagged. If you donate to a cause that's suddenly unpopular, your name is on a list. It creates a heavy, suffocating feeling of always being watched, like having a stranger standing right over your shoulder while you type. This total visibility is designed to make you small, quiet, and incredibly easy to manage. When there are no more secrets, there is no more real power for the individual. It's actually a bit of a masterpiece of engineering, turning the entire planet into one giant searchable database of human behavior. They tell us this transparency is necessary to stop money laundering and tax evaders, but those are just the convenient excuses they use. The real goal is the total elimination of any dark corners where a truly independent thought or movement could ever start to grow. If they can see the money flow, they can see the resistance before it even has a chance to find its own voice. You are being stripped of your financial camouflage, forced to stand in the harsh white light of total government surveillance. It's a world where the word private becomes a relic of a primitive past that they want you to forget. We've become so used to sharing our lives on social media that we've forgotten the sheer, raw power of keeping something just for ourselves. This psychological conditioning has made us the perfect subjects for a system that demands to know absolutely everything. You'll be told that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear, but that's the oldest lie in the Book of Tyrants. Fear is exactly what they want you to feel every time you reach for your digital wallet to make a simple purchase. You'll start to wonder if they will approve of your choice. And that tiny bit of hesitation is the sound of your freedom dying. They are turning your own life story into a weapon that can be used against you at any given moment. The truly terrifying part is that once this glass house is fully built, there is no way to put the curtains back up. You can't just opt out of a global financial system that has become the only way to buy food or pay for a roof over your head. You are trapped in a spotlight that never turns off. monitored by an intelligence that never gets tired or feels any sympathy. This total loss of privacy is the final preparation for the moment they decide to use that knowledge to take everything away. Because once they know exactly where all your money is and what you intend to do with it, they can stop you before you even take a step. And that leads us to the terrifying reality of the kill switch that sits at the center of the system. Have you ever had that sudden, heart-stopping moment where you reach for your back pocket and realize your wallet just isn't there? That icy wave of panic that washes over you when you feel completely stranded and powerless is exactly the sensation they want to be able to trigger at will. In the old world, even in the middle of a massive bank run, you could still tuck a few gold coins or some spare cash under your mattress as a last resort. But in this new 100% digital landscape, the government doesn't need to send bailiffs to your house or wait for a slow court order to take what's yours. They now have a kill switch for your entire life, a digital panic button that can drain your resources before you even finish your morning coffee. It's honestly a bit of a dark joke how they pitch this as a way to stabilize the economy and protect the greater good during a crisis. If the central bank decides they need to stimulate spending, they can simply flip a switch and apply a negative interest rate directly to your digital wallet. You'll wake up to find that 2% of your hard-earned savings has just evaporated overnight because the state decided you weren't consuming enough. There's no physical bank to go to and no manager to complain to, because the theft is built right into the code of the currency itself. Your money isn't a store of value anymore. It's a temporary credit that can be adjusted, taxed, or seized in a millisecond without any warning. I remember hearing a story about a family who lost everything during a sudden currency devaluation, but they at least had some jewelry and cash to trade for bread. In the coming dark winter of 2026, if you are outside the digital grid, you might as well be invisible to the entire economy. If the system labels you as a dissident or even just a risky individual, they can freeze your ability to buy food or pay your rent with a single keystroke. It's the ultimate form of a bloodless coup, where an entire population can be brought to its knees without a single tank ever rolling down the street. They don't have to break your spirit if they can just break your ability to survive the week. We're being led to believe that our money is safe because it's encrypted and backed by the full power of the state, but that's exactly the trap. That same power that backs the money is the power that can delete it whenever it becomes politically convenient to do so. Think of it like a digital leash that can be jerked tight the moment you try to run in a direction they don't like. It creates a state of constant low-level anxiety where you're always trying to stay on the good side of the algorithm just to keep your lights on. You aren't a customer of the bank anymore. You are a subject of the system, and your survival is now a conditional privilege. It's actually quite a masterpiece of psychological control when you realize that most people will actually support these measures when the panic hits. They'll be told that emergency wealth taxes are the only way to save the country from a total collapse or a foreign threat. You'll be called unpatriotic or selfish if you try to protect your family's future from the digital vacuum cleaner of the central bank. It's a brilliant way to make the victims feel like they are actually the heroes of a grand story. Even as their pockets are being picked, they are turning the entire concept of private property into a temporary rental agreement that can be cancelled by the landlord at any time. The truly chilling part is that once this button is pressed, there is absolutely no way to undo the damage or get your value back. You can't argue with a line of code that has already decided your balance is zero, and you can't trade a digital error message for a warm meal. This isn't just about money, it's about the total and absolute surrender of your physical independence to a cold, digital master. This level of total, instantaneous confiscation is the final brick in the wall of the digital prison they've been building for decades. It ensures that by the time the real crisis starts, you'll be far too hungry and desperate to ever think about resisting. And this leads us to the final, ancient echo of a circo that was predicted long before the first computer was ever built. It's truly fascinating how a book written thousands of years ago could describe a technological trap more accurately than a modern Silicon Valley white paper. We've all heard those old stories about a coming system where nobody could buy or sell anything without a specific mark or allegiance. For generations, people looked for a physical stamp or a visible sign, but they were looking for a hammer when the world was building a web. The real mark isn't just a piece of ink. It's the total and absolute integration into a digital grid that owns your ability to exist. We are watching the ancient walls of a prophetic siege being built right around our dinner tables and our local grocery stores. Think about the sheer raw power required to actually stop a person from buying a simple loaf of bread or a gallon of water. In any other time in history, you could just find a neighbor, trade a tool, or use a silver coin to get what you needed to survive. But as we move into 2026, the digital grid is becoming the only authorized gateway for human survival and economic participation. If you aren't part of the system, you effectively cease to exist in the eyes of the modern, highly automated economy. It's a form of digital excommunication that is far more effective and terrifying than any physical wall could ever hope to be. You aren't being forced out of the world. You're being unplugged from the only life support system that's left. I remember talking to someone who said they'd never bow down to a dictator, but they'd do almost anything to keep their kids from going hungry for a single night. That is the exact pressure point the global architects are counting on to make sure everyone eventually falls perfectly into line. The siege isn't an army at your gates. It's the silent red access denied message on your phone when you try to pay for your family's medicine. It's a brilliant dark way to force compliance by making the cost of independence absolutely unbearable for the average person. They don't need to hunt you down if they can just wait for the hunger and the cold to drive you right back into the digital fold. It's actually quite a bit of a masterpiece of psychological warfare, making the prison feel like a safe haven from the chaos of the outside world. They'll tell you that the digital grid is the only way to stay protected from the untraceable criminals and the dangerous people who still use cash. You'll be told that your safety depends on everyone being perfectly tracked and perfectly transparent at every single second of every single day. The mark is actually the ultimate status symbol of the good citizen who has nothing to hide and everything to gain from the system. It's a world where the word freedom is replaced by the word access, and access can be taken away the moment you stop being useful. We're being led to believe that we're the ones in control because we're the ones clicking the buttons and swiping the screens. But we're actually just like a mouse in a highly advanced maze, being guided by the tiny digital treats and shocks of the algorithm. Every time you accept a new update or a mandatory digital ID, you are adding another brick to the wall of your own prophetic prison. It's a slow, steady march toward a moment of choice that will define the very essence of who you are as a human being. They want to make the right choice so easy and the wrong choice so incredibly painful that most people won't even hesitate. The trap isn't meant to be hidden anymore. It's meant to be so massive that you can't imagine living anywhere else. The truly chilling part is that we are currently living in the very last moments of analog freedom before the digital door is locked forever. Once the transition to CBDCs is complete and the social credit system is fully live, the siege is no longer a prediction, it is your daily reality. You will be faced with the ultimate question: how much is your soul actually worth when the world tells you it's worth a few digital credits? This isn't just about money, and it never was. It's about the final, absolute control over the human spirit through the stomach. This level of total, global encirclement is the final act of a play that has been in production for millennia. And figuring out how to survive in the shadows of this digital empire is the only task that truly matters now. Now that you've seen the blueprints of the digital cage, you have to ask yourself a very uncomfortable question. Is your freedom worth more than the convenience of a one-tap lifestyle? The system is banking on the fact that you'll be too tired, too busy, or too afraid to exist outside their glowing, controlled grid. But once the kill switch is fully integrated into every cent you own, the time for maybe and later is officially over. What is your plan for the day your bank account demands your silence in exchange for your survival? It is time to stop being a passive passenger in this digital transition and start building your own analog lifeboat. Start diversifying your resources, look into physical assets, and reconnect with local communities that know how to trade without a screen. If you refuse to let an algorithm dictate your worth and you want to keep arming yourself with the raw truth, you need to subscribe to the hidden channel and turn on all notifications right now. I want to hear your voice in the comments. What is the one thing you refuse to trade for digital access? Wake up, stay independent, and I will see you in the next investigation.